Hello, YouTube. I took a PTO, paid time off, baby. And so I've just finished watching Love and Death. I know I did a previous video. I had to make a part two because it's just so relatable. And you know how you guys, I grew up in the church and I've learned a lot of things. And my job is to spread the message. And for today's video, I actually wanted to tell people I personally believe that to heal from trauma and stuff, the Lord really needs to um you have to have a relationship with God. Regardless if it's Buddha, Jesus, whatever. I'm a witness that, a lot of people talk to me and they're like, "Oh, whatever, whatever." It's the Lord that really helps you identify things or whatever. A human being, it's so many people that I know that's been to therapy and they came out worse because a therapist can't really show you and teach you certain things. That comes naturally. Like, I know that I had to forgive my mother so I could move on in life. Nobody, no counselor told me that. I know that from, being a Christian. And so that's what I urge. But um, I wanted to tell people, if that is the route you want to take, therapy, you have to do background research on your therapist. Candy Montgomery, right? That's her nickname, Candy. Her name is Candace, so nickname was Candy. She is a therapist today. This woman is a murderer and got away with it because they believed that she was acting in self-defense. No one claims nobody knows if it's self-defense or not beside her and Betty. Betty is now deceased and she can't speak for herself. But the fact that you had a group of people that believe that, it really shows that people are real idiots, because you can't convince me that. And I'm watching the trial. Usually when somebody wins a trial, it's because their lawyer is really good. According to the Netflix special, it wasn't all that good. Like, the lawyer, he started good, but then it's like the cross examiner and prosecutor, whatever, they was better. They try to say in the last episode, they brought out, because she went to a shrink, because obviously with me and the little research and knowledge I have, Candy Montgomery was a sociopath and a narcissist. Probably some other things going on. But the reason why she killed Betty was she is controlling. How do we know she's controlling? And too bad Alan Gore. Alan should have testified a little bit better than that. He should have told them that she came up to him, and some people might say, "Oh, it don't matter." No, it does matter. Because according to this Netflix special, she is aggressive. She got to have things her way. She started this affair. She came up to him. She controlled everything about their relationship. What hotel they went in. Where did they go to hang out. She controlled the restaurants. She put do's and do nots or whatever, like that. That's a person that's very controlling and they want things their way. It may seem innocent, but no, she's controlling. And the reason why she killed Betty, and I just wish I was in that courtroom. The reason why she killed Betty is because Betty was in the way and she wanted control of a situation that she had no control over. When they had a string coming, but they should have had a female string coming too. Like, because he gonna say it from a male perspective. From a woman's perspective, she was jealous of Betty. Hence why she went after her husband to have a full-blown affair. She had an affair with him. They should have really put her under hypnosis, because the shrink put her under hypnosis about her being four. They should have really interviewed her as to how she really felt about Betty. Because if they would have really interviewed her really good enough, they would have found out that she was jealous of Betty and she hated Betty. That's why she hit her 41 times. That's hatred. That ain't self-defense. That's some underlying hatred that you have. On top of that, one point that they missed, this girl goes into, you go to somebody, first of all, she didn't even call. Who does that? How you just pop? Is that your grandma's house? Is that your parents' house? Why are you just popping about her house? Because you're controlling. You want things your way. That's rude. You don't do that. The only way that would make sense that you did that is if you lost her phone number, and so you're popping up because you haven't seen her in years. That would make sense. Or, y'all just have that type of relationship where you could just pop up. I can't understand why you would pop up at somebody's house early in the morning, like to pick up a bathing suit, no less, because your daughter got swimming lessons. It doesn't make sense to me, because you mean to tell me your daughter got one bathing suit? Like, why didn't they dig deeper? You're telling me that you only have one bathing suit? Who has one bathing suit? Like, what? Especially if this is something like, once upon a time I used to have one bathing suit, because I didn't, this is before I started traveling. But if you travel, or like in that case your daughter has swimming lessons, why would she only have one bathing suit? If it's left at somebody's house, you're not gonna, she had a very busy day, right? She did Bible study that morning, and then she came to the house and had an errand to run. So you going to pick up a bathing suit. Why your daughter don't have another bathing suit in her drawer? Or why didn't you go to the mall or something to buy another one? It's never that deep. Like, oh, you go to her house. You, according to your testimony, you went into this utility room, or I guess you could call it the laundry room, because the washing machine was there. And you claim that you never saw the axe before. That's a lie, because you knew exactly where the bathing suit was, though. You went and you got the bathing suit, but you didn't recognize the axe. Okay, she comes outside with the axe and whatever, and it's like, swinging with the axe and everything, and self-defense is going to be 4 or 5 times. You're not going to, so she's like, oh, she hit her in the head, she was bleeding, and she got back up. That doesn't make sense. If someone gets hit in the head, they're not going to be conscious enough and have enough thing to get back up again to attack you. That just doesn't make any sense. That sounds like something similar to Michael Brown when he was shot down. He had no weapon, and my professor brainwashed the whole classroom except for me. I wasn't falling for it, but basically, because Michael Brown was so much bigger than the police officer, he was a threat, and he was running towards the gun. Why would he do that? And he had no gun. But it's like they was able to, another thing the lawyer was saying, telling her to lose weight. I need you to look like the innocent housewife. So they planned it all, and the jury got played and didn't even know it. Candy's lawyer told her to lose weight, wear glasses. He's like, I need you to not be aggressive. Don't be aggressive, right? We're going to say that Betty was the aggressor, right? So there was people, the pastor, and this is the most disgusting part of this whole series. The pastor got on the stand and said that the deceased was rude to him, and she was she was very aggressive. So because she kept it real, from my opinion and what I'm watching, Betty sounded like she kept it real, and she told him he needs to go back where he came from. Yeah, because you're like, you're too strict. The church that they went to was fun, and he was taking away all the fun activities. So Betty spoke her mind, like, yeah, whatever. He was like, oh, Candy was cordial. Yeah, Candy is fake, and I wanted to talk about that. So in the last episode, is the title of the episode, the shrink was able to get Candy to think about her childhood, and it was very interesting, because she was able to remember when she was 4, and because she was jealous of her and a little boy was in a race, she lost the race. And instead of her mother saying, hey, we all lose sometime, it ain't that big of a deal, she was very competitive. And because she wasn't in control of the situation, she takes the jar that he won and she smashes it. When she smashes the glass, a piece of the glass hit her in the face, right? And she started bleeding. Her mother takes her to the hospital, and as she's bleeding, she's like, shh, what would they think of you in the waiting room? So the shrink was able to say, well, when she was hitting Betty, she wasn't hitting Betty, she was hitting her mother. And Betty said to her, shush. That doesn't make any sense. So the jury was so gullible and stupid that the shrink was able to convince the jury that because Betty alleged, first of all, we don't even know what Betty said. Betty is deceased. She nobody that's bleeding is gonna say shh. If anybody says shush, it was Candy who probably said that, because she's fucking crazy. So yeah, she probably was thinking about her childhood while she was hitting her. Maybe, but that still doesn't justify. She killed Betty because she lost control, and I wanted to point that out. Alan, even though he's his own person, she went up to Alan, okay? She initiated the affair. She chased him, right? When he ended the affair, 8 months later, his wife is dead. Coincidence? I think not. So, because she lost him in her mind, this is her man, right? And 8 months later, the wife is dead because in her crazy mind, she's in the way. And then, after she kills her, she doesn't call the cops. What does she do? She goes about her day normal. She goes, first of all, she takes, trying to wash all the blood off, right? So she goes into her car soaking wet because she was trying to wash off the blood. She gets home. She puts her clothes in her washing machine, washes and dries the clothes, takes a shower, and goes and proceeds on her day like nothing happened. That is what you call a cold-blooded murderer. And the fact that she's a therapist today in Georgia, y'all better start doing research on y'all therapists. Y'all sit there and confide and tell y'all whole life story to these people. These people are just as crazy as you or worse. And there's too many documentaries and stories about these people. And I'm not saying there's not good therapists out there, but God is the one who could heal you of your trauma, not another human being, right? And also, beside her being a sociopath and a narcissist, she was raised to be fake. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that with religious people. I found it very interesting with the episode Shush, and I'm glad they put that on, because a lot of people who go to church only go for one reason. Not just because it's family, but it's what would people think of them if they didn't go, right? So I want y'all to ask yourself, why is it that I do what I do? Is it because you're being told to do it? Really think about it. Think about and not just, let's not stop at church. Let's just talk about everything you do. Is it something that you honestly want to do? Or are you doing it because what will they think of you? And I thought that was powerful, because Candy clearly is not a Christian, okay? That's like, for you to kill someone and not even feel remorse, and you talking about some self-defense when you know you killed her because you hated her, you was jealous, and you wanted her man. That's why you killed her. You wanted something because you're controlling. You lost control of the situation, and that's what makes it so sad. You killed this woman, and he didn't even want her. He left her, was like, yo, I need to focus on my family. And when you're watching it, it's very corny. Like, they corny suburban church people. But he didn't want her. And he told his family, he was like, yo, I had an affair, but to be honest, I wasn't even interested in her. And that's what makes it so crazy. Like, you did this over a man who didn't even want you, right? And like I said in a previous video, her husband stood by her side. And in the series, she says it to him. She was like, I don't think I deserve you. She didn't deserve her husband. Like, she had a good husband. She had an affair. He stood by her side, blamed himself for the affair. Then she murdered someone, and he stood by her. He's just as sick as she is. Because for me personally, if I found out someone was cheating on me, right? Even if I'm not married, and I find out that it ended because she ended it, I'm gonna end it with you, because it just shows that you don't have no type of morals. Like, it just shows that you don't care about me. Because why does it take for her to end it? Or in this case, it took for him to end it for the affair to end. That's why I don't understand with Candy's husband from his perspective. Like, you do realize the affair would have continued to go on had he not stopped it. How Alan, if he didn't stop, he's the one who stopped the affair. She would have kept being with him and continued on, and probably would have eventually left you for him. She killed his wife, so what does that tell you? That she was so obsessed and in love with him, she killed his wife. And even after that, he still stayed with her. They moved to Georgia because they lived in Texas because of all the scrutiny. Because even though the jury said not guilty, the town was smart and they knew she was a murderer. And I'm proud of them for not listening to the media, for not listening to the jury. They had their own mind and like, yo, this she's a murderer. So they moved to Georgia and they get divorced. And just reading the article, it sounds like she probably divorced him or whatever. But yeah, like, comment, like, and subscribe. Love and Death is very interesting. It shows you a controlling woman. She would be considered a Jezebel. She came up to him and had an affair. He didn't even want her. And then you gonna have the audacity to kill his wife. And then on top of that, they was friends. She was friends. That's what makes the story even worse. She was friends with the wife. She befriended the wife. She watched their kids. How can you do all of that and call yourself a child of God? Call yourself a Christian? You're not a Christian. You know, that's just like the scripture says. He's going to say, I don't know you, you workers of iniquity. Because, and that's what's wrong with the church in general. Like, people are just fake. You're not your real self. You know, people, you know, at the end of the day, they'll shame you and say, oh, whatever. But it's like, how are you between Monday and Saturday? Right? You know, and it's sick. It's just sick, because it's like Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. If you can't be true to nobody else, to thine own self be true. But comment, like, subscribe. And it really puts things into perspective. You know, with her mother saying, shush, what would they think of you? That explains her whole life. Candy Montgomery, her whole life was a lie. And I think she was tired of, even in the article, it said that her marriage was boring. She was bored. She was bored to death, and she wanted some excitement. And I get it. But that's not the way to do it, sweetheart. That is not the way to do it. Somebody in your church, that's messy. Then it wasn't even a one-time thing. You kept going. And then because things didn't go your way, you killed her. And you was able to trick the jury. I don't know how that happened, because, like, again, her lawyer, according to the series, he wasn't all that. Like, he had good points, but it's like, For you to strike someone 41 times, and then they had the doctor, they had a physician come in and he explained everything, and she butchered her. Like, an axe is something serious. So when she hit her in the head, then she hit her in the face, she didn't have an eye. So imagine this part of the face gone. It looked like, when they showed pictures, which was not the real pictures, but like pretend pictures of what a replica of what her face would look like. It looked like ground beef. Her face looked like ground beef, because that's how many times she kept hitting it, to the point you could see the vessels in her face, if you could imagine. Her arms, she was hitting her arms, right? So the gauze is in her arms, you could see the meat pouring out. She hit her like she was a piece of meat. That's how it looked. So that is not self-defense, that is anger. The defense was she didn't see her, she saw her mother saying shush. And that's what she said. She was like, oh, she said shush to me. And the jury went for it. That's the sick part. The husband went for it. He said, oh, my wife isn't violent. She's kind. She's loving. It's like, what? She went after a man and then he dumped her. And you're sitting on the stand defending her. Do you not realize, and I don't think anybody broke it down to him, like, bro, do you not realize that the only reason why the affair ended is because Alan Gore, he ended it, not your woman. He ended it. It's like, it just shows you how some men low self-esteem could be. That's low self-esteem. You don't think you deserve better? You don't think you deserve a loyal woman? You don't think you deserve somebody? It's not even the fact she cheated. It's the fact that she went up to him and then he ended the affair. She didn't even end it. It's not like he came up to her and then she just felt so compelled. It happens. A man comes up to you in your loneliest, weakest points. We've all been there. I'm not saying that. But the fact that she chased him like a Jezebel, and you chase this man, he breaks up with you, and then you want to kill his wife. What a coincidence is that? And then it was only 8 months later that you kill his wife. You pop up at the house. First of all, you didn't call. The same room where the bathing suit was, the axe was, yet you've never seen it. You butcher her like a piece of meat. I don't even cut meat that many times. 41? That's excessive. That's excessive. I'm like, I cook ground beef all the time. I might cut that bitch up maybe 10, 15 times. But 41 times? You are evil and you are sick. And the fact that she has a license to be a therapist in Georgia, something is wrong with our society, for real. That she's able to work anywhere. You shouldn't be able to it's bad enough she not in jail, but it's like, the fact that it's on the internet, you could Google her and she's somebody's therapist. What the fuck is the America coming to? This is wicked. Like, my Jamaican, it's wicked. It's like, but yeah, check out Love and Death. It is just, the last episode is so good. Episode 5 and 6 is a little boring. Like I said, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it's a little boring because it's about white people from the suburbs that go to church. So it is boring, but it's like, damn, like, really? The outcome and the drama and the psychiatrist and all that part is very interesting. And the fact that she got away with murder and hit somebody with an axe 41 times, and they was able to claim self-defense off of what she said. That's the scary part, because what other evidence do we have that is self-defense other than Candy's word? We don't have any other evidence other than her word. And that's scary to me, that someone could lie. and say self-defense, but it really wasn't. She didn't even plead insanity, because to me, you're insane to kill someone and then you change, you wash your clothes and wear the same outfit. She was smart enough to, because they was like, yo, but you left the baby, you knew she had a baby, right? So um she was like, I wasn't thinking about the baby. And they was like, well, you were thinking, because you washed your outfit and you wore the same clothes to pretend that everything was fine and normal. What you definitely was very smart about that. You made sure that you wore the same outfit that day, because you didn't want anybody to um know what you did. That's what it is. You didn't want people to know what you did. And then for months you kept saying you don't know who killed her. That's another thing. If you're innocent and you really defended yourself, right? Why was you lying? Talking about something you didn't know who killed her. You even went as far as to say you don't even know who was in her house. And then finally they realized that you were the last person in the house. Then you want to come clean after you get arrested. Then you finally come clean to your lawyer after the fact. That's another thing that they should have pointed out in the. Let me remind you, jury, that nobody knew that she killed her up until after the arrest, because she was telling people for the longest she ain't see her all day. Then you want to come clean after the fact. That means you guilty, because why you lying? If it really was self-defense, right? Oh, you didn't know where the axe was, but you knew where that bathing suit was in the same room. It's just comment, like, and subscribe. Love and death. It's good, y'all.